everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So as you can see, I got the 6th pass completed, and I'm now starting on the 7th, which I have made a good start on. I've got over 1,000 stitches into that 7th pass, because yeah, 209,000 was exactly the count when I finished the 6th pass. So yeah, and I was saying if I manage 8,000 stitches this month, it would bring me to about 213,000, which I am well on my way to that. Yeah, we're only about just over halfway through the month, so that should not be a problem, I would think. And yeah, this area here is a bit more bigger color blocks, so it's going a little faster. When I get into the peahen's her feathers, a little bit of her wing and some tail feathers, that will be a bit more confetti heavy. But once I get past her into the big pink flowers, there's quite a lot of bigger blocks there. Yeah, those flowers are quite big, so that part should speed things up. So yeah, we will see. Like I said, I've been estimating about a year from this point to be completed, and yeah, we'll see how close I get to that. Yeah, I was very happy to get to. I have less than 100,000 left. It's a milestone I passed early in this month. Yeah, I think I might get close to 70% total, but not sure exactly how close we will get to that. So yeah, so I tried making a couple videos with my new phone, and I don't know, I had some people say that the focus was going in and out a lot. So I have switched back to my old phone for this, and we'll see if that helps at all. I don't know, maybe the new one is like almost too sensitive, and so like when my hands go in front of the stitching, it tries to compensate like too much. I don't know. And maybe the old one is a little better, but we'll see. It could be I didn't turn my crafting lamp on because there was plenty of natural light, but maybe it needed a little bit more. Who knows? I don't know. I swear, I don't change anything, and things seem to change on me. You know, I set things up the way I normally do. I didn't do anything differently, so I don't know why I would get a different result. It is a mystery. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I wiped my old phone entirely, and so now there should be plenty of space on it, because yeah, there's basically nothing on there but the operating system. I didn't even sign on with my Apple ID. I just left it basically blank, and yeah, I'm using it just as a camera, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully better. Yeah, so there's some bigger blocks here on this fence post. There's some color changes because of the shading. Some of it sort of, there's this upper part, the lower part's kind of more in shadow, so it's more blues there. But yeah, like I said, it appears to be less confetti heavy, so yeah. But we'll see. Like I said, I managed about 3.5 months per pass, but the last pass took me 4 months. Yeah, I just had other stuff going, and yeah, it was quite confetti heavy. with the feathers, so yeah, we will see. And sort of along the very bottom right corner there, where it's kind of almost looking kind of washed out, like it just fades off the colors. Yeah, that seems to be some fairly big blocks. So again, that may help me wrap this up a little quicker, which is always nice. Like I often say, it's not a race, but I do have a lot of pieces I want to complete, so yeah. I probably already have more patterns than I can complete in a lifetime, but I'd like to get as close as possible to completing them. Yeah, because I don't think I really have anyone to hand my stash down to. I do have a niece, actually the one who got married last year. I did give her some of my knitting stuff because she was trying that, but I'm not sure if she's still into it. Yeah, because I gave her my old instruction book that I learned how to knit from. My grandma taught me the very basics, but yeah, I bought a kit from Michael's and it taught me, because my grandma basically taught me how to cast on, how to do the knit stitch, and how to cast off. And then we moved. We were further away from them and I didn't get to see her as much. So yeah, I taught myself the rest, all that increases, decreases, lacy stitches, all that good stuff. So, but I now have that totally memorized. So since she was learning, I said, here you go. Just gonna park that there for now. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of oh, darn it, I was on the wrong setting. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna kind of stick to this upper curve here for now, and I will eventually sort of extend down. But yeah, as you can see, I did the background around the fence post, so it's basically outlined. And now I'm filling it in. Ooh. Oh, pardon me. That's really nice. Snow is almost totally melted. There's just a little bit on our front lawn, but other than that, pretty much gone. And but yeah, the wind is still a little chilly. Yeah, the other night, my son and I, we walked down to Marble Slab and had some treats. And yeah, we both put our hoods up because that wind was a little icy. Didn't really need a coat, but you did need to kind of keep your ears covered because, yeah, I get earaches pretty easily if I, yeah, when it's windy. Yeah, I have a couple pairs of earmuffs that I wear when it's really bad, but, well, I don't wear them both at the same time, of course. All right, so for now I'm working from this curve, but I may kind of skip over and do this bit because I can see that sort of, yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of a very shallow curve there and then kind of build up around it. We'll see. I kind of, as usual, decide as I go. Yeah, and as usual, on the mock-up, this fence post looks mostly white, but when you stitch it up, it's actually mostly blues and light grays. And there was very little white. That is only one of the two strands, that's why it didn't want to come out. There we go. Yeah, like there was only maybe a dozen white stitches amongst, you know, there's like probably 800 stitches in that top of the fence post that was in the last pass, and yeah, there was maybe a dozen white stitches. The rest are all other colors, so it gave the illusion of being white, but it isn't really. I had the same with the pale parts on the peacock's wing and on the peahen's belly. Yeah. I find cross-stitch patterns just tend to stitch up a little bit darker than the source art. They never seem to stitch up lighter. It always seems to be, yeah, a little bit darker shading. Yeah, I don't mind, but I know there have been some people who were kind of disappointed because they were expecting it to look exactly like the original art, and it didn't. So yeah, and I think it's not just one designer either. I've stitched from a few different designers, and pretty much every time it has been a little darker in shading than I expected. I don't know, maybe it's the nature of DMC thread or the charting software. Who knows? I don't know. I do know Karen the Needlebug was stitching the Sewing Woman, which is like a classic painting. And yeah, she started it and said she found it really dark, and so she had to adjust the brightness and chart it again. And yeah, in the case of that one, it looked much better once she brightened it up. Yeah, I had that with the Majora's Mask one I did, which was from Etsy. Yeah, I was a little nervous when I was stitching it because the shadow on the faces was much more purple than it looked like at first glance on the mock-up, but yeah, once it was all stitched up, I was really happy with it. It made a really nice contrast of the light and shadow, because the light was coming from the fairy over Link's shoulder, and so the contrast, I thought, made that look really good. Yeah, so my husband is on the road. Yeah, there's a whole lot of work they're doing right now, switching things over to a new system, so that involves a lot of, yeah, travel for him to install new equipment and transfer things over to it. And helping out other guys who might not have as much experience as him with this, yeah. Okay, so I have 2 strands. It's just the way it worked out, and I think I don't really need both. Yeah, sometimes that happens because one strand came from the last pass and another one was me adding it as I was starting this pass, so sometimes I end up with more than I need, so then I just tie off one and save those pieces for elsewhere. Sometimes I juggle both of them. It kind of depends on how many stitches there are, because if it's like a big block, then I use both, because yeah, there's enough to use both. Yeah, he was supposed to be gone for like one night, but then yeah. That was if everything went smoothly, which it didn't, so yeah. And so he's having to stop at a couple other other locations on the way back to make sure those are working. So yeah, it was funny. He had to go out to one that was nearby, about an hour and a half drive away. And it was in the evening, so our son went with him. He likes to go along. And anyway, he sent a picture because he brought along his little stuffed Bluey, Bluey toy, which is like 5 inches tall. And he sat it in the dashboard. There's a little sort of alcove to keep like your sunglasses or whatever in, and he stuck Bluey in there and then took a picture. It was pretty cute. Yeah, like she was navigating or something. Yeah, as I said, my son loves that show. We haven't watched it yet, but it is on Disney Plus, so it's on the list. But it's a very long list. Yeah. Just kind of hugging this curve here and then back up. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, throat is a little sore today. If I kind of follow this color, it will kind of fill this, like close it in. So yeah, we'll see. But I might just stick to changing colors a little more often for the next while until we sort of get to the other side of this curve. I don't know. Okay, so again, I'm gonna take a peek how long this piece is. Not very, I kind of had a feeling. All right, no problem. Okay, so this is one I will take out because I'm going to be using it quite a bit. Yeah, slowly start filling up my working tray again. So yeah, I don't know if I will reach the peahen in the time I have left for the end of this month. I will definitely reach it. I'll definitely reach it next month, that's for sure. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to extend down to row 440 for this pass. Yeah, since I started at 380, so 60 more. rows. That there for now. Yeah, so although the whole flow of color goes more like this, I'm kind of splitting it up into stripe. So kind of making it go this way again. I don't always do that. It, like I say, it just kind of depends. I've done it both ways. Okay, zoom in a little bit. Probably go for a walk later. I forgot to buy something for kiddo's school lunch last time I was at the store because I didn't write it on the list. But I didn't write it on the list because I buy it almost every week, so I thought I'd remember, but I should know myself by now. Yeah, if it's not on the list, I probably won't buy it. Yeah, it's a red pepper hummus. He really likes it. Which is not something I expected him to like, but yeah, someone at school had it and they let him try it and he really liked it. So has to be a specific brand though. Yeah, I bought it from a different store one time and it was red pepper hummus as well, but yeah, he didn't like it, so his dad ate it. I am not a big hummus fan. There we go. Forming a knot, but I caught it. It's not going to work. There we go. almost wanted to park that in the wrong place, but I caught myself. Yeah, so I think I'm going to hit some more zeros this pass. I got like 3 colors that have only 1 or 2 stitches left, and they look like they're all in this pass. So yeah, I thought I was going to get the zeros last time, but no. Close, but not quite. Yeah, a few of these envelopes I can see. Gonna have to replace them soon. They're starting to split along the bottom. At least they're recyclable, right? Yeah, I could stick tape on them, but then, I don't know, that would probably not recycle. So what I usually do is I replace it with a new envelope. I use the old one to write a shopping list on, and then when that's done, I throw it in recycling. Or the compost. That works too. Yeah, our city a few years back gave everybody 2 bins, and they're the only ones they pick up now. And one is gray for regular garbage, and then one is green for, yeah, organic stuff that can be composted. I believe they sell the compost stuff for farming and stuff, so yeah, and at least then it's not going in the landfill. And also they're the kind of ones that the garbage truck, they can pick it up with the arm automatically. Yeah, so the truck driver doesn't have to keep getting down and out and back in like they used to. So yeah, only the recycling guys got to do that now. Okay. Let me take a look. Actually, I'm going to do this one, because then I can do a whole bunch of the other color at once without having to pause in the middle to do these stitches. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, the recycling, they used to have bins for us to put it in. They actually would sort it when they picked up your bin, but now you just stick them in the blue bags and they just take the whole thing and I guess sort it out later. Yeah, I remember sometimes we had trouble with those blue bins when it was windy. I remember I heard this like scratching noise going down the street, and I look, and mine and the neighbor's bins are, yeah, blowing down the road, so I had to grab them and like stick a big rock inside so they couldn't take off on us again. Yeah, it was fine while the recycling was in, but once it had been collected, yeah, and they were empty, yeah, that wind took them away. Okay, so that way I did that, so I can do this whole, sneak this whole thing down and come back up. Yeah, so I think what I will do is just slowly build out each row instead of working the, because I can see it's kind of interconnected with this color. They're kind of, yeah, stuck together like puzzle pieces. Sort of little bits are extending into each other's space, so yeah. When that happens, yeah, I often work sort of very slowly from the side, growing it out. Yeah, not leaving gaps because then I make counting mistakes. Yeah, that's how I used to stitch, but then I discovered as I tweaked this way. Well, like I said, kind of annoyed with myself at not remembering to pick up the hummus, but then this kind of forces me to leave the house and go for my walk. Yeah, because I actually have something to go get, right? Yeah. Yeah, I might pick up some dishwasher soap while I'm at it too. Oh man, it was funny. My husband said, my mother-in-law, when he was a kid, she ran out of soap for the dishwasher, so she used like dish soap, like the liquid stuff, thinking, oh, if I just put in a little bit, it'll be okay. Yeah, it was not. Yeah, she learned that the hard way. The whole kitchen was full of foam. Oh, yeah, they had to pull out the shop vac, and then you had to mop the floor with clear water a couple times to get all the soap suds out. Otherwise, you were, yeah, going flying like a cartoon. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, she didn't know that ahead of time. He's like, no, it's like, yeah, that's why dishwasher soap is different, because it doesn't make a lather. Liquid dish soap for hand washing dishes does. So yeah, you cannot use those interchangeably. Ooh. Oh, that was like my old workplace. They used to rent a house because they had so many technicians who would have to come from, 3 hours away to do work because they didn't have enough guys locally. And so instead of paying for so many hotels, a workplace rented a house, and then all the people would stay there when they were in town and needed a place. And yeah, one of my jobs was to go and buy some stuff for it, like laundry soap, so the guys can do their laundry if they're there for a few days and stuff like that. And then yeah, I was really glad the guy warned me that, oh, and it's a top load, high efficient washer, so make sure you buy the HE soap, because otherwise, yeah, you could end up with that same problem, and we don't want it. And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know, because I've never used a front load washer. Yeah, ours is an old top load. So because yeah, we got it in 2002. Yeah, had to be careful too. Our dryer, of course, we got at the same time as a set, and the moisture sensor on it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, because it used to be you just set it to automatically, it would sense when the clothes were dry and stop running. And then my husband said, yeah, he came downstairs one time thinking this has been running a really long time. He checked it and he said the clothes were bone dry and really hot. So yeah, we now only use the timed feature because can't count on it to shut off on its own, and we definitely do not want a fire. Yeah, that would be bad. Is there more of this color? No, that's pretty much it at the top. Okay. But yeah, like I said, we got it in 2002, so it's plenty old. Yeah, we got that sort of right after we were married. Moved out of my apartment. We got to have military housing. That was actually like a little house. And, but we had to buy our own appliances. It didn't come with them included in the rent. So, yeah. But, we no longer have the fridge and stove. We left those with our last house when we sold it, but we kept the washer and dryer. Yeah. I can't remember if there was an old one at the house and we left those there from the previous owners or not. But, well, our fridge would not have fit in this new house because our old one, there was no cupboard above it. But this house, yeah, they built cupboards all around the fridge and the fridge is smaller than that one was. So, yeah, at that point we just said, okay, we'll just leave it with the house because it would have been more trouble than it was worth to move it here and then have to rip that cabinet out, right? Plus, this one, when we bought it, the appliances came with the house. So the washer and dryer we gave away because we had our own and we know our own works really well. So, yeah. Put it up on like Kijiji and just told people that, you know, it's as is. We've never used it because they were here when we moved in, so we have no idea if they actually work, but, you know, they're free. So you can have them as long as you come and pick them up. Yeah. And we never heard any complaints, so I'm assuming they did work. Yeah, years later, my husband said, maybe I should have hung on to those to put in my garage for, you know, greasy stuff, because you don't want to put that in your regular washer, right? The really greasy coveralls and things, yeah, they're gross. They can get grease on the inside of your washer, which then transfers to your other clothes, so, yeah. Like, even if you wash them separately, it can leave grease on the inside, and grease is such a pain to remove. Yeah. Especially like motor oil grease, yeah. No, I remember when we were first married and my husband went out to do some stuff in the garage and he didn't change into like lousy clothes that it's okay if they get stained. Yeah, he wore like just regular pants and I came and I'm like, oh dude, you got grease all over him. He's like, well, it'll wash out, right? I'm like, no, it's done. Like, yeah. Oil like that soaks in and you're not getting it out again. It's stained motor oil, yeah. So again, I have 2 strands here, but I might just this time juggle both of them for the next while, because I think I probably have enough to use them both. So I'll decide as I go along. Okay, so this color is quite obviously used a lot here. Yeah, I tried actually making my own laundry soap for a while. There was a recipe I found online that used like borax and Dawn dish soap and stuff, and it wasn't bad, but after a while I found that, yeah, it was okay for a few washes, but then the clothes started to not smell clean when they came out. So I'm guessing, like, I don't know, stuff was like building up on them, but yeah. So I quit doing that. Yeah, and then I was using these laundry strips that were made by a Canadian company called True Earth, which were supposed to be like super environmentally friendly, no phosphates, and cheaper because they're little strips that you throw in rather than have a whole jug of like liquid dish soap or laundry soap. But yeah, same thing. They were fine for a few months, and then I noticed like they just did not. The clothes were not coming out clean smelling. So even when I tried doubling up the number of laundry strips I was using, so unfortunately it was a nice idea, but yeah. Yeah, So I started after a while. I went back to like commercial detergent and sort of used half of that in one laundry strip until the laundry strips were all used up. And then, yeah, I stopped using them because, yeah, unfortunately, I found they just were not working. Especially on things like towels, I find, yeah. I often do where before I wash them, I have a utility sink and sort of fill it up with really hot water and some OxyClean. Yeah, to sort of really penetrate in there and get all the smell out. Yeah, one of my friends, she actually has a sanitize setting on her machine, so it's like super hot water for things like towels, but yeah, mine is old and I don't have that, so I got to do it my own way. Yeah, so I think, like I said, when I get to the end of this pass, it's pretty confetti heavy, but this side of the pass is bigger blocks, so yeah, goes a little quicker, we will see. Okay, and again, this is a color that kind of branches off a bit, so I am probably going to end up with more than one thread, but that's fine because, as you can see, there's quite a lot of it in this area, like 500 stitches, so yeah, we would use up multiple threads regardless. Yeah, I was saying how I wiped my old phone so I could use it as just a camera. That always makes me nervous, though. Just feels bad to delete so much data, right? Even though I have it backed up on like the cloud, and also once a month at least I try to do a manual backup on my computer too with the iTunes, so then yeah, that way anything happens I can restore it from there. Yeah, thankfully nothing has. I had one time I accidentally washed my phone, but it actually was salvageable. Yeah, because we went to someone's house and they're smokers, and I'm very, very sensitive to the smell of smoke. And so I threw my jacket in the wash when we got home without thinking about the fact that my phone was in the pocket. And it wasn't until it was like halfway through the wash cycle that I suddenly went, oh no, right? And yeah, we took it out and we rinsed it out because they said the water is not actually what's the most damaging for it, it's the soap. Yeah, so rinsed it out, stuck it in rice. Then we stuck it in the oven at really, really low, like the lowest that it can go and still be on. And we left it like that for a day. And yeah, it powered up again and everything was fine. So I was like, phew. So yeah, I was kind of sad because there were a few videos and things that had not been backed up yet, right? And I thought, oh no, they're lost forever. Because at the time, this was years ago, I'm not sure if I had an iCloud backup. So yeah, I was not happy. But it turned out okay. And then, yes, the first thing I did after that was I manually backed it up to my computer. Ooh. Yeah. It's like, it's nice sort of having everything in one place on your phone, right? But then the problem is, if everything is in one place, if that gets wrecked, yeah, you're kind of hooped, right? Like a lot of people don't even carry their cards anymore. They have like, you know, the smart pay or whatever set up on their phone. So yeah. Or a lot of us are really bad about memorizing phone numbers because we don't have to actually type it in anymore, right? And if your phone dies, you can't contact anyone. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, actually, I had one of my friends who said that they actually will open up the keypad and type it in manually, even though they have the contacts in their phone, for exactly that reason. The repetition will help them to remember what the number is. Yeah. Because, yeah, I said I have my husband's memorized because I've heard him give it out enough times. But my son's is, yeah, I don't. And I should memorize it. I know I should in case of emergency and if my phone's not available, right? But it's like one of those things I keep thinking I should do that and then I completely forget to do it. And then, yeah, the next time and then I forget to do it and repeat forever. Yeah, it's kind of like I said, I remember, you know, driving home, singing along to a song and suddenly go, oh yeah, what are the words to this? I'm not sure of them. I should look it up when I get home. And then I get home, forget to do it. And then, yeah, the next time I hear that song, oh yeah, I wanted to look up the lyrics. I should do that. And then get to my destination, forget to do it, and just repeat that forever, right? Oh. Yeah, I said, you kids these days, you're so lucky you have lyric sites and things like that. I said, when we were kids, we just sang the stuff wrong forever with no idea we were singing it wrong. And somebody said, yeah, and sometimes you bought the album hoping that the lyrics would be in the liner notes, but not every artist did that, right? So, yeah. And most places, there was no way to preview it before you bought it, so it was just a gamble. Yeah, if you bought it and you hoped the lyrics were in there and they weren't. Yeah, and that is how I ended up singing Seal's Kiss from a Rose wrong for like decades. I thought he was singing Kiss by a Rose on the grave, and he was singing Kiss by a Rose on the gray. Yeah. And I did not know until I'm in a group that's like, you know, for my generation, nostalgia and all that. And somebody said that, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? Like, how is it not grave? I thought it was grave. I would have bet my life on that it was grave. Oh, or Phil Collins singing In the Air Tonight was singing Oh Lord and not Hold On. And yeah, I only found out because I was watching a TV show and I had the captions on, as I always do. And they caption sometimes they don't always capture the song lyrics. They'll just like say the, you know, the title of the song or whatever plays in the background or something like that. But this time they actually captioned it. And I was looking and they says, oh Lord. I'm like, it's not oh Lord, right? It's hold on. And then I looked it up and yeah, I've been singing it wrong since I was like 14. So, oh. I'm like, I'm sorry, but to me in my head, it's still hold on forever. Yeah. It's funny because I always thought Kiss by a Rose on the grave made more sense, like people throwing roses on a grave, right? Maybe you kiss them first or whatever, but it's on the gray. And yeah, I never would have guessed that. And it's funny because they asked Seal kind of like what the lyrics mean, and he admitted they don't really mean anything. He just liked the way they sounded. So, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny because, like I said, every generation will say, oh, your kid's music is so ridiculous. The lyrics don't mean anything. I'm like, but every generation has had songs that the lyrics were ridiculous, like Hello, Bop. Yeah. Ramalama Ding Dong, right? Like, yeah. Every generation has their silly songs that don't really mean anything. And we just like them because they're catchy, right? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, because of the way this branches off, I'm going to start a new one down here for those sort of little bits, and I'm going to carry on with this one up here until it runs out. And yeah, I will kind of assess as I go, as I normally do. Yeah, so like I said, I could have done this middle curve and then built up around it, but I decided instead to work more sort of vertically and avoid doing that entirely. So yeah, means slightly more color changes, but I find I can still get into the rhythm of it pretty well. And yeah, it's working out okay. Yeah, this is another one that I will probably branch off into separate strands. Yeah, Veronica was saying generations always saying that kids with this dangerous teenage stunt. I'm like, yeah, but every generation had it, like acting as if, you know, there weren't people who swallowed live goldfish, or, you know, in other generations, like every generation has had their ridiculous, dangerous things that the kids have done. Honestly, it's a wonder any of us make it to adulthood sometimes, right? Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think we all have moments when we look back when we were a kid thinking, you know, when we were thinking that, like, yeah, that could have actually turned out really badly, and it was just sheer luck that it didn't. Yeah. Oh, like I said, one time we were kids, my sister and I were goofing off sliding down the stairs, and I went down wrong, and I actually flipped end over end, and like, yeah, I could have broken my neck. I ended up at the bottom with just a couple bruises, but I remember thinking, okay, yeah, we're not doing this anymore, because yeah, I could have killed myself. That would have not been good. Or paralyzed myself, right? Oh. Yeah, it was funny because, like, my husband would tell stories later, and my mother-in-law's like, wait, you guys did what? She didn't know when they were kids, right? Oh, he said one time they were kids, and they were in an older house that had, like, just the bare concrete in the basement. And so they decided to play campfire, and they got a bunch of rocks and set them up, and they set a fire in the middle. Yeah, the mom caught them on that one, but it's like, oh my gosh, kids, what were you thinking, right? But yeah, they're not always so, you know, aware of the danger and how risky things are. Oh, my mom said when I was a kid, my dad was rewiring a lamp and he kind of left it sitting there, and she had to dive across the room because I picked up the wires and tried to stick him into the outlet. I was like 3. Yeah. Yeah, she said, I never knew I could move that fast. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this is a lot darker here than I would have expected looking at the mock-up. This purple here. But I've had that in a couple of places and it's turned out okay. Yeah, like there was one side of the little lighthouse far, far back, like in the 3rd pass, and it looked quite dark on the side, but after you got more stitched up, I realized it was the shadowy side, and so yeah, it looked fine. But yeah, at the time stitching it, I kind of thought, I hope this is going to be okay. Okay. Yeah, and I said I especially had that with the Majora's Mask. The people in the shadows, their faces were so purple. Yeah. But yeah, it's because you wanted Link to sort of stand out in the front, well lit, and then yeah, everyone else kind of melting into the twilight shadows. So yeah, it did look really good once it was done. But yeah, I was a little nervous while I was stitching it. I figured that was a pretty quick project. It was less than 50,000 stitches, so yeah, if it turned out to not look so great, well, I didn't invest a ton of time in it. So yeah, so again, I'm going to travel this down and back up, keep one strand up here, and I'll do another strand for what's down there later when I get to it. I'm going to keep filling in sort of this top part first. Also do this one up here. Yeah, so even though, like I said, the whole shape is going this way, I can kind of add little strips that way, and it works out. I'll probably need another strand up here pretty soon because I don't think that one will be long enough to do them all. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, like I said, I ended up with two threads of the same color sort of right next to each other here, but yeah, just sort of stitching with both of them until one runs out. Since this is a larger section of color, so kind of leapfrogging them over each other until this one is pretty much done. Yeah. Yeah, that is done. So then I carry on with the other one. So yeah, normally across, like I say, big sections I work back and forth, but sometimes just the way I approach it, it makes more sense to do it like this. At least for me anyway. One, do this one. That will be it for that strand. But yeah, kind of going top to bottom, bottom to top. That way the lines on the back stay in the same sort of direction as it would be when I'm working back and forth, so the back stays more consistent. Not that I really care that much about how the back looks, but I figure maybe that'll keep the tension more even, prevent any lines from forming. At least that is the hope. We are pretty close to 200, so I may stitch to 200 and then call it a day. Yeah, like I said, there's not as many colors and bigger blocks here, so that made it stitch up quickly, which is always nice. Oh, look at that. I cannot count. Yeah, I see what I did. I went down with this when I should have gone up. That's what happened. I suppose I could have fixed it on the way back up, but oh well. I already unthreaded and pulled it out, so. 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Yeah, and actually that will bring me to exactly 200, a nice round number to end on. So yeah, there we go, 200 exactly. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.